welcome to episode 3 of the AV Geeks Assemble podcast. I am Andrew, and I'm once again your host for this week. And this episode marks the start of our guest lineup, which is very exciting for us. If you haven't listened to our 3 introduction episodes yet, where we have introduced the AV Geeks Assemble members, please go back and give them a listen on YouTube or Spotify. We have received some really good feedback so far. So thank you to everyone who's DMing us, messaging, commenting, sharing. And to be fair, the one that we've really enjoyed is people messaging saying, when's the next one coming out? Because that just goes to show that people are listening and are really enjoying it. So thank you. So with me this week to speak to our first guest, you will obviously remember from episode 0, Ant.
Hello, how you doing?
And yeah, good, mate. And also Ben.
Hello, guys. How are we doing?
Yeah, good.
Not bad.
Good. That's it. So these guys are here to interview our first guest today, which we will introduce Robin shortly. Before we get there, let's just have a little chat between us chaps, because the first thing that everyone wants to talk about, the disappointing news we heard recently from React. It's canned again.
Sore subject.
Yes.
Sore subject. What?
Very sore. In fact, I actually got my refund from them today, so it's a bit bittersweet because I'm putting that money to other air shows that are going ahead. Well, I'd rather React be going on, but at least I'm putting it towards some other air shows that I can go to.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, any views on the disappointment?
Well, I mean, obviously we're not the people behind the scene pulling the strings and trying to do all the organisation. I can give them, credit where credit is so called due.
Yeah,
they've tried their hardest to make it. Personally, coming from my side, I think it's a bit early that they canned it, to be honest.
Totally agree.
The event is not until July, and we've already seen, well, in the UK especially, we've seen Leeds and Reading festivals have been given the go-ahead. And I mean, you looking at a festival like that, the conditions aren't exactly the best. It's in the middle of a field.
Yeah.
Where
it's very close-knit between thousands of people.
Exactly.
It's one of those things that I don't think is very easy to police either. You can't really... Don't get me wrong, I don't know. I'm no professional. This is my opinion. I think it's a lot harder to police a music festival than it would be maybe an air show. I could be wrong, but that's what I think.
Yeah, I know. I 100% agree with you, that, mate.
I think the most disappointing thing for me is that they didn't wait for the roadmap announcement. Now, we've all been waiting for this announcement. We all knew it was coming at the end of February. We all knew that the government was working hard behind the scenes to put it together. And if they just waited for that and then made a decision either way, then I think people would probably respect it a little bit more either way, whatever it was. But because they've done it before the decision, before the roadmap's announced, and then now all of a sudden music festivals are going ahead. Other air shows are saying, yes, we're definitely going ahead. Yeah. It's sort of made React look a bit stupid, really, for want of a better phrase. And it's like, well, it's like one of the best air shows in the world. It's the premium air show in the UK. It's the one everyone wants to go to. It's the one all the display teams want to perform at. We've not got a show again. It is frustrating. I do understand why.
Of course. Why. I think we do. We need to make that a bit clearer. We're not here slating and saying we could have done better.
No, absolutely.
Definitely not.
What we've seen and what, because the thing is, COVID isn't new. It's been nearly a year. So have they had time? Maybe. But again, this is coming from amateur photographers who just want to get back to air shows.
That's it. I mean, at the end of the day, we all want to be back at air shows. We want to be back out spotting, and that's our bread and butter, isn't it? So
it is.
Hopefully, they just double down on 2022, and it's the best we've ever seen, and we can really look forward to that display, and hopefully some of the things that we knew were coming this year, like the A10 demo team, which having seen the new livery of that jet now, it's a little bit painful, but hopefully that will materialise next year for us.
Well, to be fair, I've never even seen an A10 on static before, so the fact that we had them flying this year, I was there going, oh my God, this is going to be epic. And it wasn't to be. Look, what's done is done. And like you say, all we can do now is look forward to 2022, where hopefully, it's
there's plenty in 2021.
I wouldn't write 2021 off yet. I mean, Cosford is still potentially looking at September. My local one at Weston is still, touch wood, is still going ahead. They haven't announced anything yet, so that's on the cards. I think you've got the Midlands Air Show, you've got Shuttleworth, you've
hopefully
got
Bournemouth at the end of August.
Yes, potentially. You've got a few days at I think you've got a few days at Duxford doing flying days.
Yeah.
So there are scope. I mean, if we wanted to go over to like France, they've got Villaroche. I think have just announced their Air Legends on the 10th of September, and there's one in Belgium as well. I think that's potentially going ahead as well.
Yeah, so, Sanicole, isn't it? Sanicole's going ahead. Yeah.
So there is scope, but I mean,
and Malta. Malta's going ahead as well. So there is plenty to look forward to towards the back end of the summer.
Yeah,
so let's just keep our fingers crossed that everything that's planned can go ahead now the roadmap's in place. And
absolutely.
Obviously we'll just have to misreact for a little bit longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Right, so again, before we introduce our guest, we do once again want to emphasize again that our opinions are entirely our own, and that also goes for any of our guests, either today or in the future. Right, so now that is out of the way, it is time for our guest to join us on this flight. We're still not quite sure on the final destination, but we'll see where it goes. With us today is Robin. Hello, Robin.
Oh, how you doing?
Yeah, not bad, mate. How are you getting on?
Yeah, surviving.
Good man. Just. Good man. So let's get straight into it, Robin. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into aviation and photography.
So I'm from the Lake District, where obviously if you live in the Lake District or have ever been to the lakes, photography is literally every view.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Getting into my photography was more the Lake District and was more landscapes and stuff like that. Been doing that for 7 years now.
Okay.
About 7 years since I got my first one. First camera anyway.
Yeah.
Which was a Sony A57, which did really good for landscapes for me, for learning what to do. Gave you obviously all the exposure lengths that you can change and stuff like that. And then after I started doing that for about 2 years or so, I realized that there was a lot of people doing landscape photography in the area, and I wanted something a bit more niche, a bit more different. So I started doing astrophotography.
Nice.
And astrophotography was where I found my sort of my vibe, my buzz.
Okay.
Instead of going out on the hills during the day when it was busy and everyone was out, it's so much quieter at nighttime. So I'd go out at night and I'd shoot at night and get the stars and the classic Lake District shots, but at nighttime.
Yeah.
For 5 years, I think pretty much was all I did.
Okay.
I do daytime stuff as well on the side, but my thrill is nighttime stuff. Okay. And then about, I think it probably would have been the end of lockdown last year, or about as soon as you could go out and use your cars to get anywhere.
Yeah.
I basically started going back out because I didn't have to go to work because I was a furloughed shop, non-essential retailer worker.
Yeah.
So I took the opportunity to go out and stand on side of hills, and I knew the aeroplanes would go through. So at some point, I didn't know what time or what day or if they would or not. So I just chanced it and got talking to a whole bunch of guys in the lakes that do it. And I think I've been doing it ever since. And it seems to be the only thing I enjoy doing at the moment, because during the summer for night photography, there isn't a night time. So
yeah.
That got put on the back burners.
Yeah.
And then during the sort of, then there was a lockdown again and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's just been a case of I got everything I'd wanted to do in the periods that we weren't locked down. So I saw some American F-16s come through the lakes.
Nice.
That was nice. There was a couple of low ones from them. Obviously, you get the RAF come through with occasional typhoons, which for a while, I saw more 15s and more 16s than Typhoons.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Which I was a bit sort of devastated at because I quite liked the Typhoon at the time.
Yeah.
And then every day you were kind of hoping not to get a blank, but then you were kind of hoping more not to get another Hawk.
There's nothing wrong with the Hawks. Leave them alone.
T1 Hawks are fine. T2 Hawks are a little bit longer.
Controversial.
Here we go.
But then
this is why we needed guests.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so like I say, it was just sort of like I say, you got Hawks and then you got Texans.
Noisiest aircraft in the world, apparently.
Pardon?
The noisiest aircraft in the world, apparently.
What, a Texan?
Yeah.
If you believe some of the residents from North,
if a Texan's flying it.
Yeah.
You hear him coming on the scanner before you see a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, they were all good fun, and then you get like the Hercs come really low level, and you sort of go, how the hell can that fit through that small valley in the gap? And then it just comes through on into like an edge, and you're like, fair play.
Yeah.
Class.
To be fair, Robin, like you've pretty much, apart from the astrophotography, which is something I do want to get into myself, you've pretty much followed the same path that I have with photography. I mean, I've only been doing photography for about 3 years or so, and I started with landscapes. Yeah. I was just getting out with my camera, just using it as an excuse to get out and about. Used to go up to Snowdonia, the Peak District, all them sort of places. And then, obviously, being in Snowdonia, I stumbled across the Mach Loop, and then, obviously, the rest is history, as they say, sort of thing. So it's a very similar sort of path that we've taken to get to where we are today.
I think a lot of us, that's true. I think that's the same for quite a few people, to be fair.
I mean, that's probably it's probably right. It's true because the fact that you get a mirrorless camera or a mirrored camera or something like that, probably DSLR or something, and you go for that to get the quality of the photo in normally something that's quite still.
Yeah.
It's not every day you get to shoot something that flies through at sort of 500 knots.
Yeah.
And then that's a whole different ball game.
Absolutely.
It's a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah. It's more fun though.
Yeah.
Just a quick interjection, just an interesting one before we carry on with aviation and photography. Obviously, you mentioned astrophotography.
Yeah.
Up in the lakes, did you manage to catch Comet Neowise last year at all?
I did.
Nice.
I got a few shots of it in the lakes.
Nice.
But it was in a gap between where you could go out and do stuff elsewhere.
Yeah.
I actually went up to Northumberland, where I got my favourite shot from it. I went up to Sycamore Gap, which is like the Hadrian's Wall tree.
Right. Okay.
If you've ever seen Robin Hood's Prince of Thieves or whatever it is,
yeah,
it's the one where you've got Morgan Freeman sat in it,
right.
And I think it's like Robin Hood sat in it and Morgan Freeman below or something like that. But yeah. So if you know that scene, it's that tree, and I managed to get me with my dog posed underneath it with the comet going above it.
Oh, that's outrageous! I'd love to see that.
It's one of my favourite shots I've done.
I'll have to look at. I would like to see that. That sounds class.
Yeah, well, it's on my other photography page that I do.
Yeah.
Cool. So my LFA 17 isn't my only page. That's just my aviation stuff. Which there you go.
I found it. For those listening, I just brought up Robin's photography page, and it is
absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, it's an amazing.
That is fantastic, mate. Fair play to you. That is amazing. Well, what we'll do at the end, obviously, like I say, we'll get your Instagram and Facebook handles, and everyone can go and check it out because it is well worth looking at for sure.
Definitely.
But yeah, nice one. Right. So this week, something different. We thought we'd play a little game to almost break the ice, I guess. So this week we're going to be doing 20 questions. So for anyone that doesn't know the rules, we will ask Robin 20 yes or no answer questions to see if we can find out his favourite ever airframe. If we do get to question 20, then we must make a guess. We can guess earlier, but it does count as a question. So we need to be careful with this one. So everyone understand the rules?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Robin, you ready? You got the airframe?
Hang on.
He's changing it.
No, I've been thinking about this for like the last 3 days since you told me we were playing this, and it's changed about 6 times.
That's good. Keep us guessing.
And then I was talking to my girlfriend today, and she was like, "So do you know which one you're going to choose yet?" I went, "No." I'm just gonna have to pick it out on the fly. But I've got it. There you go.
Fair enough. Right, he's got it. Who's going first then?
Right, I'll start. Then we'll go to
then.
Ben, and then we'll go to Ant, because that's the order on my screen at the moment.
Good plan.
Right. Okay. So question number 1 for me is, does it have jet engines?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
Is it British?
Yes.
Okay. Is it a twin jet? Has it got 2 engines?
No.
Ooh, okay. Is it currently flying?
No.
Ooh.
Good question.
Was it a nuclear bomber?
I think it could carry them. I'm gonna go yes.
Was it made by Blackburn?
No.
Okay.
Was it an RAF airframe?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Did it require more than one pilot?
Yes.
Ooh.
Right, so that's question 10. So to recap, it's an RAF airframe that could carry nuclear weapons, that required 2 crew
Minimum.
minimum. We don't know how many engines it had.
I thought we said it was 1 engine.
No, he just said it wasn't a
We
single
said
engine.
You asked if it was twin. You said it was a twin engine.
Yeah, sorry. He said it wasn't a twin engine.
Right, okay. So I'm assuming it's single engine. That's the problem.
Or it could be 3 or 4.
3 or 4 jets, RAF.
We 10 to go.
Was it a V bomber?
Yeah, V bomber.
Yes.
Ah,
right, here we go then.
There we go. So
So is it? Yeah, was it made by Avro?
Yes.
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 Here we go. Now we're getting somewhere,
There you
chaps.
go. I think you've probably worked it out.
Oof.
Go on then, Ben. Chuck it in there.
Oh,
This is where we get a curveball.
Yeah.
is it the Vulcan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good work, boys.
Lovely.
Well done,
stuff. And to be fair, very, very good choice.
Yeah, definitely.
Which obviously leads me on to the next question. Robin, why is that your favourite ever airframe?
I think part of because of its obviously its history.
Yeah.
And the exercise that took it from base in England all the way to the other end of the earth, or the other side of the earth. Pretty good, the fact that it can do that. But also the fact that I've seen it fly a couple of times.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to go to and see it fly before its farewell flight, and then on its farewell flight, it flew over my head whilst I was at work. Pretty much ran outside and went, "Oh, there it is! Oh, it's gone."
Oh.
Is that when it did Dunmail?
Yeah, it went backwards.
Yeah, it went the wrong way, didn't it?
Well, it didn't go the wrong way. That was the route it was planning to go, but it went the reverse route of every other jet that goes through Dunmail.
But that caught you off guard.
Well, it didn't catch me off guard because, like I say, I hadn't got into aviation photography at the time, and I was at work.
Oh, right. Okay. Fair enough.
But it threw everyone who goes spotting off because all the spots weren't good for Dunmail going backwards.
Yeah.
Everyone who goes taking aviation stuff in the lakes goes to sort of Thermia, and where you've got all the lake to watch it come through and then watch it go past.
Yeah.
Whereas it went the other way, so you literally had 30 seconds of it going, or 3 seconds of it going past you, and then you're just looking at its jets. So you had to kind of work out the area to go at that point. But
that honestly, that pass through Dunmail, I've seen it on YouTube loads of times, and like it's one of them moments. You know when you see like tornadoes going through the Knack Loop, and it's one of them things that you think, I wish I had a time machine just to pop back and just take one photo of that, just one photo. That's all I want.
Or just a nice video of it.
Oh yeah.
So you get the sound and everything like that.
Oh, the howl, the Vulcan howl.
Yeah.
Oh yes. No, fair enough. Fair enough. That makes sense.
That's probably one of my favourites.
Yeah.
It was a close call between about 4 others. And
I think we can all relate to that.
All of them I've seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was probably my favourite that I've seen. That I never really appreciated at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Ideal. So base visits, what we'll discuss next. Have you got any favourite bases that you visited, or a favourite air show?
I can keep this nice, short, and sweet.
Here we go.
Yeah, I've only been to RAF Leman,
Right. Okay.
and that was because the Swiss were over with the F-18s.
Yeah.
So it wasn't your standard going there and see hawk. It was hawk. Oh, F-18.
Nice.
So yeah,
Nice.
they were there. They were based there for Operation York Night.
Yeah.
The end of last year, and then air shows again, short and sweet. Haven't been to one officially.
Okay.
I did see the Vulcan fly. It was the Rotary Club's air show at Bowness on
Okay.
Windermere.
Yeah.
They did that for about 3 years or something like that. And the Red Arrows came through, Chinooks came through.
Nice.
They had a demonstration, I suppose it was, by the Vulcan. It came in, did a low bit, came back out, spun around, came around a few times.
That sounds like an epic location for an air show.
Yeah.
It was, but it's a bit open.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if it had been so like you could get if there was any mountains nearby there that you could get higher on,
Yeah.
it probably would have looked a bit cooler. But because it's a really
Over the
wide
lake.
part of the lake,
Yeah.
the wide part of the lake, so everything was happening over the water.
Okay.
Then the distance was a bit far, but it would have been you're right. It would have been a cool spot for an air show to keep going. But I
Yeah.
think
Yeah, definitely.
it got too big for its boots, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It became too popular, and Bowness and Windermere are only a small place full of tourists anyway. So
Yeah.
I think they decided that they didn't need the extra money, which
It's a
is a shame.
nice place to be, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a nice place to be. Why put a jet there?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it would have been nice with a jet there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But they
Definitely.
did like a Chinook did a low fly pass where it had its back door open and pretty much took the water in from the lake and stuff like
Class.
that, which was
Nice.
quite cool.
So obviously, if you've not been to any sort of the big air shows, were you planning on doing that this year before obviously what we discussed earlier?
Yeah, so I was planning to go to Rio.
Oh God.
I thought if I'm going to start an air show, I might as well go to the best one,
Oh.
Yeah.
and then everything else can just be a disappointment. So
And
I
that
was,
decided to disappoint as well.
so I was getting like
That's
the
it.
tickets were in the basket, waiting to be paid for and stuff like that. And then they announced obviously that my dad works for BAE Systems as well,
All right.
so obviously they're part sponsors of the RIAT event. So I was hoping to maybe work on a sort of like a deal that with him being part of BAE that I could get in and get maybe different shots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was the
Nice.
initial plan. But obviously with it not going ahead this year, I was a bit disappointed. And then obviously the roadmap came out the week after or something like that. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
you just waited another week. I mean, it's still like 3 weeks after the roadmap officially ends and everything's back to normal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it
Hope.
might be
is.
a bit of a push anyway, but
Yeah.
I can understand it. We've all had people who we know sort of suffer with COVID and stuff like that, so
Yeah.
it's understandable. And then I was like, oh, let's go to Leeds Fest instead, just for a laugh. Tickets were sold out within like seconds, and I was like, okay, maybe it's not my year to go anywhere. Let's just keep getting up the hills.
That's
Yeah,
it.
at least you've got that for you. That's all right.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's they seem to stop flying for a bit in the summer,
Yeah.
which normally is the nice days, which I have off on the days off, but I still need to go somewhere else other than the lakes every now and again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to chop and change, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you guys' opinion is, but if you had the opportunity to go to an air show, but you had to wear a face mask the entire time, apart from eating and drinking, would you go?
Sign me up.
Yeah.
In a
100%.
heartbeat.
Yeah. 100%.
My only issue would be my camera lens, my viewfinder fogging up all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
If
No,
you would-
yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean, I would. Do you know what I mean? I would have quite happily sit in a little squared off area, like for you and your
Give me
family,
a
or
2
you and
meter
the people
square
there.
corner, and I'll
That's
be
it.
happy with that.
Well, you
That's it, yeah.
did, didn't you, Ant? Because you went to, was it Shuttleworth you went to last year and they did the driving air show?
Yeah, Shuttleworth do an amazing show, and I went to the de Havilland's centenary driving air show last September, and that's exactly what they'd done. They basically had squared off all of the parking area, which was like up to the fence line, up to the crowd line, and you parked in like a 5 by 5 meter square, which was enough room to get your car in, and for you to get out like a picnic blanket or a little table and chairs, and you could bring your own food. But at the same time, they still got like static displays that you could walk around. People were all sort of abiding by the social distancing, and there was loads of like hand gel stations and things like that. There was even a few small sort of vendors there selling like merchandise and things.
Yeah.
And it was just great to be at an air show last year. Do you know what I mean? After all the disappointments that we had. And I'll come away from there thinking, if some of the bigger shows can just take a couple of the lessons from Shuttleworth, then there's no reason why air shows in 2021 can't go ahead.
Yeah.
And I think some air shows are doing that. I think Cosford, by the sounds of what they said when they announced they postponed the normal show in June, and they're going to try and do it over 2 dates in September, that clearly shows that they're trying to limit the numbers and that they're trying to do it so that people are more spread out. Because if you've ever been to Cosford Air Show, 60,000 people on one day, you're all squeezed in like sardines. Yeah. So they've obviously thought about that, and they're obviously probably going to do something similar to Shuttleworth, where they grid off the area. So you've got a specific spot where you can park your car, and then you can sit by your car and watch the show. And I'll quite happily do that until COVID disappears over the hills towards the sunset.
Yeah,
that would be my dream scenario, to be honest. Yeah. But we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously, speaking of these air shows and where you're getting, photos up in the hills, the lakes, the mountains, all of that. What gear are you currently using now, Robin?
So at this precise moment, I'm on a Sony. I'm Sony based.
Okay.
So I've got the A7 II, which is my full frame camera.
Nice.
I use more often than not. And I've also got the A6000, which is like a crop sensor, so it gives me another 1.4 times conversion onto whatever I'm shooting on.
Okay.
Which shoots a lot faster than my A7. Has probably more focus points than my A7, but it's not all the time that I want to shoot at sort of like 900 millimeters. Because 900 mils, I'm pretty much missing everything. I might get the eyes of the pilot, but then I can't see anything else. But yeah, so at this moment, I'm using those two, all on a 200-600 mil lens, which Sony very politely brought out the other year, filling the gap for a nice sort of budget, not budget, but more affordable telephoto lens. At the time, it was like you can have a 70-200 or a 400 prime or a 600 prime for 10 grand each. So I was like, I don't really fancy 10 grand on a lens just yet. So let's let's get something a bit sort of in between, which for like £2,000 I was quite happy to spend.
Sure.
Nice.
Have you got a dream setup that you'd like to eventually aim?
Yeah. So I'm actually on the pre-order list for the Sony A1.
That's some big dollar there.
That's
wow.
That's my late birthday present to myself.
Nice.
Fair play.
I say late; it'll come after my birthday. That's not arrived yet. So yeah, that's my next thing. So part of my dream setup is what I'm getting in the next hopefully 2-3 weeks.
Nice.
And then the other half of it is going to be like potentially the 400 mil 2.8 prime lens to stick on the end of it, and then but that's silly money for that. So just for a piece of glass, would work really well for astrophotography as well. So I can almost justify budgeting for it as well at some point.
Pros and cons are weighing up on each other.
Yeah,
you've got to justify it however you can, mate.
There's more pros, but the cons are like 10,000 of them.
Yeah.
That's the dream setup, and hopefully in the next sort of couple of years, I imagine if everything keeps going how it's going, I might have that at some point. But we'll see.
Yeah, what is quite nice, because obviously where we've been doing our introductions and things like that, the majority of us have been Nikon and Canon.
Yeah.
So it's always been a case of discussing, as we heard on the last episode, where there was the the brand rivalries discussed. We've got a third one in the mix now
at
as well.
At the time when I was listening to that, I was like, "Ooh, I'm adding fuel to the fire." But they're going to either really hate me for it or really, really hate me for it.
I must say, I actually am a big fan of the Sony cameras because, as I did say in the last one, it's what I started with DSLR. I had the Alpha 55.
Yeah.
Great little camera, really good camera. But like I say, I just it just got a little bit too outdated. And then obviously with the lens I was looking for, I won't go into it again. But yeah, so now I'm Nikon, and Ben, you are Nikon, and
Yes.
Ant,
I'm Canon.
you are Canon. Which is why I didn't really want you on this podcast. No, I'm joking.
No one wanted Canon on it.
But to be fair, I mean, like I get a lot of messages through Instagram asking about camera settings and cameras and this, that. Do you think this is a good camera? Do you think that's it? All cameras these days can do the job.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter what you're shooting. The cameras in this day and age now, with like the technology that's coming out from all of the brands, like they're just the top draw. Do you know what I mean?
It's more down to personal preference, like I said before. It is more down to what you prefer the layout. I'm going to be very controversial here, and I'm going to say it's similar to Apple versus Samsung or Android.
Oh no, not that.
We won't get into it, but at the same time,
that's another podcast.
You can't buy, really, technically speaking, a bad phone at the minute. They're all good. It just depends on your preference.
And it's probably got the same software on the inside, it's just under a different label.
Yeah, pretty much.
And with Apple, it's like another £2,000 for your
earbuds. Oh God, here we go. There's always one.
But then you find that with Sony's as well. Sony seems to put the price up on things at the moment.
Yeah.
I originally went with Sony because I bought my old managers off him. Because he wanted to upgrade. And he said that if I bought his old one off him, he'd show me how to use it.
Yeah.
And then the menu systems on all Sonys until about 2 years ago were exactly the same.
Okay.
So it was a case of stick with what I know. When I went to the A7 II, which is absolutely fine for aviation and fine for astro, apart from the fact that it struggles on frames per second. It'll chug them out at 5 frames per second.
Yeah.
With focusing that struggles, which is my main problem.
Yeah.
And then so obviously the A1, which I'm looking at, is 30 frames per second, 50 megapixels. So I don't need a big telephoto lens. I can crop in.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's what 1.5 gigs in 1 second. You're going to need some big memory cards.
So the thing is, at 30 frames per second, you can only shoot at 64 meg files.
Right. Okay. Right.
You can shoot 20 frames per second uncompressed.
Right.
But yeah, still, and it's got like a 5-second buffer or something like that. So
that's plenty for
a fast. I can fill out my buffer, and then be ready for the next one.
Yeah. Oh man, I tell you what, I'm excited to see the results you get with that camera. I tell you what, I'm going to live vicariously through you for a little while, I think.
My problem is I have too many good shots to put up, and I won't know which one to choose.
That's right. You can send them over to us, and we'll put them up for you.
Yeah, I can do that as well. Obviously, I mean, with you getting that camera, like you say, in the next couple of weeks, does that that takes me on to my next question, or our next question of have you set yourself any goals for this year?
Attend at least one air show, maybe. But not real goals as such. I suppose it's probably get out on the hills as much as I can when we're allowed to go out more often. Spend longer on the side and hopefully get some planes that I've not seen yet.
Yeah.
Or seen very small appearances of. So I think the goal is really probably just to go to a couple of bases.
Yeah.
Just because it's the nearest base for me is probably Lehman. But I don't want to see any more Hawks. So I'm hoping to maybe get a couple of do a couple of days where I can manage to get a trip down to Conlingsby and Marham, and then pop into Lakenheath whilst I'm there, because they're all over there.
They are.
I've got a friend who works at Bryce Norton, so I might ask her if I can blag a visit down to see her for a bit.
Yeah, ideal.
but yeah, so that's the plan, is just to keep going with the planes and hopefully see something different.
Yeah.
And just get a good shot of something different rather than a far shot cropped into a pixel.
Yeah.
We've all done it. I said we've all done it.
Yeah. If I crop it in this much, Instagram will still think it's great. Yeah, it's just a 1 pixel block. But yeah, Instagram knows it. But yeah, I think that's the goal for the year anyway. An air show is definitely one that I'm trying to get to. But if it doesn't, then just an airbase would be nice.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Definitely. I mean, talking of Instagram, like obviously the next question we've got for you is about inspiration and who you take inspiration from. I mean, obviously I know that your aviation Instagram is quite new in the grand scheme of things, and you've got your other ones that have been going for longer. But is there anyone in particular that you've seen? It can be aviation or landscape or astrophotography, like that you're really inspired by, and you sort of think, oh, I wish I could get a photo like that, sort of thing.
In terms of aviation wise, anyway, there's one of my friends who I know from the side of the hills, called Simon. He started doing aviation photography probably about 6 months, I think, before I did, or something just before the first lockdown started, or sometime then. And he's got a pretty dream setup for me. Well, a dream setup. He's got like a 400mm prime lens or something like that, and he gets some really long shutter shots. So like 1/80th of a second on jets and stuff like that. And you're like, oh. And so the background's all dreamy and the jet's like sharp.
Oh,
you're like, how the hell did you manage to get that? There's me going, here's my blurry, here's my blurry, here's my blurry, that one's half blurry. I've missed that one completely. The tail's in focus, but there's none of the jet in focus at all. And he just seems to get like shots that make me go, oh. But there's a few other lads who I've met through slitting on the side of a hill this last year who have helped me out in terms of settings wise, because I was used to shooting sort of 30 seconds to a minute exposures. So shooting anything that's 1/1000 was completely alien to me, because I don't know. My shutter doesn't go that way normally. So yeah, there's a lot of lads, Craig in particular as well. He's helped me out. He showed me the lens that I bought before I bought it, because I wanted to. I think it was a time when shops didn't really have it in stock. You had to order it online, and I was like, I just want to have a look at it, want to have a play with it, want to hold it in my hands. So he showed me what it was like. And I was like, oh, that's nice. And was like, that'll fit nice in my camera. And then I think like 2 weeks later, I bought it myself and was like, yeah, I can go and shoot things now.
Nice.
Just sort of like going off at a bit of a tangent from what you just said there. Like, I mean, I've only been shooting in the Mach Loop for about 18 months or so, but the amount of help and advice from the people that I've met up there is exactly the same as what you're describing in the Lake District.
It's an aviation photography I've noticed is very hit and miss with people. With landscape photography, when I was out, you might go out for a morning shoot and you meet. I think I went to one spot and there was 18 other photographers there.
Oh, wow.
And they weren't fighting over spots. They were taking a few shots and then moving to another spot, and people were sort of swapping and changing, and talking about like the social medias and who they were and everything. I was like, oh, this is a really nice community. There was a few people that sort of just butted in and went, I'm such and such, I'm doing this. You're like, really? I was just going to move in a minute or two. Just let me get my shot.
Yeah.
And then with planes, I've noticed everyone's friendly, but then they're all hiding something from you as well. Everyone's trying to keep what they know to themselves and stuff like that. And you're like, I mean, if you know there's a plane coming, just let me know. I mean, we've all got various radar apps, and they'll all tell us something, and people are just hoping that they know something that someone else doesn't know, and to get that killer shot, which you can understand, but you're all on the side of a hill. Who am I going to tell from this side of the hill?
Exactly.
I'm going to shout it across the valley, are you?
So I've noticed with that, everyone's more than happy to show their shots and share their settings and stuff like that, but they're not going to share sort of close-handed information, which again I kind of get, but it's also I'm probably more annoyed that I don't know it.
Yeah.
It's probably one of those ones that
that's it. Yeah.
I wish I was in the loop and then I wouldn't complain, but I'm not in the loop, so I just sort of feel myself going. I'm going out hoping that I don't get a blank, but odds are I'll get a blank, and then 10 minutes after I go, 6 will come through.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. We've all been there. We've all done that.
Yeah.
I haven't.
Well, nearly all of us. Nearly all of us.
Shooting with me. Need to come out shooting with me so I don't get any more blanks.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. He's Captain F. He misses
I was about to
everything.
say, yeah, you've not heard my nickname, mate. I wouldn't invite me if I were you.
I've got a few friends that are like that.
Yeah.
If he's on one valley, you go round to another corner because you know nothing's coming through.
So sounds like me. Sounds like me last year in the Lake District. 2 separate days on Dunmail Rays, and I got absolutely nothing. Everything went through Kirkstone Pass instead.
It's ironic because nothing ever goes through Kirkstone.
I know. It's because I was there. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So before we move on, right, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to ask my favourite question. But before I ask it, all I'm going to say for our podcast listeners is, are you getting bored of this question or do you like it? Let us know, because I've asked it every time, but I don't know if people are listening going, oh, here he goes again, or whether it's a case of they like hearing, you know, the explanation between, you know, what it is and how they got it and the passion behind the voice. So, Robin, I hope you've been listening to the podcast.
I know exactly what you're going to ask me, and the answer is no, I haven't got a clue. So I'm just scrolling through my Instagram. But go ahead.
Thank you for preparing for this. Now, for those of you who haven't listened or don't know what I'm about to ask, the question I've got for Robin is, what is that one shot? What is that shot of yours that you are most proud of, the story behind it, and, you know, what it means to you?
So I think the one that I'm probably going to have to choose is one from Dunmail Rays on the east side. I've never been on the east side to shoot before. And it's of, like, we had 8 eagles come through in about 3-minute spacings, and they came around for like 2 passes.
Wow.
And there was snow on the ground. So I've got an F-15 Eagle snow locked effectively, with snow behind it. And I think out of that day, I only got about 6 or 7 ones that I'm happy with that are overly sharp.
Yeah.
The rest of them are kind of a bit blurred because the grey of the plane didn't quite stand off from the snow enough.
Right. Okay.
But I'm happy with the one that my Eagle shot, which I got there. I actually got about 3 or 4 of them. And then, so yeah, that's the one if you want to see it there.
Okay.
Cool.
But yeah,
That's like something about a Top Gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, it was like a new scene from Top Gun. It was like I say, there was 8 passes on that particular when I was stood up there, and then as I was heading back down to go to another spot for a better afternoon light, there was another 2, and I got car parked by them, which I was a bit miffed at. I got to my car and I drove halfway down, and then I hear it come overhead. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, I've probably got 5-10 minutes before, if it comes around for another one like the other ones have been doing, to get to my spot. And I got out of my car and there it went again. I was like,
that sounds a lot like the first time I met Ben. Obviously, we'd arranged to meet on was it Cad West? No, not Cad West, Cad East. In the Mac Loop, and I got stuck in some horrendous traffic jam. Like I was stood still for about 2 hours. I was going mental in the car. So I'm rocking up to the Mac Loop at like 11 o'clock in the morning, which is just never heard of. You don't do that. Like if you want to get stuff. So I'm racing up the side of this hill because, like, as you can imagine, it's like end of summer. Every possible parking spot has been taken. I've had to literally dump my car in the middle of the A487 and like start running up the side of this hill. And I am blowing out of every orifice. I mean, every orifice. I've never been as out of breath as I was. And all of a sudden I hear that howl of a jet and I'm like, you have got to be joking me. It was slightly more profound size than that.
Yeah.
But it was like, no. And then like seconds later, this F-15 Strike Eagle just comes powering over the top of me, and I'm just like, oh, come on. So luckily, they didn't come round again, which annoyed me because I ran up the rest of that hill. But luckily, a bit later in the afternoon, when I got my breath back and a bit of my sanity, we had another couple that came through, so it made up for it. But yeah, I can definitely appreciate that feeling of being car parked.
And I tell you something, that was my first ever loop trip, and seeing those two F-15s going through was amazing. I was bouncing off the valley walls, and then Ant comes up huffing and puffing like, like, oh God, I missed it. And I was like, oh, it was amazing. They went through like this, and he's like, but yeah, no, it was brilliant. That was a good day as well.
Yeah.
It was.
Ben, and have you got any questions for Robin?
Yeah, I have.
I should say.
Yeah, I have. Have you got any plans to come down to the Mac Loop, seeing as you've cut your teeth in the Lake District?
I would love to. I'm hoping that restrictions get lifted at some point and I can travel again. Haven't got any idea where the Mac Loop is, other than it's Wales. So people say,
there, mate.
People say, oh, the Mac Loop this, or CAD this, or somewhere else, because there's different names for it. And I'm like,
yeah,
where's this? Is it Wales? Is it like around Snowdon? Is it somewhere else?
Yeah.
I mean, my problem is Wales is, I think it's like a 4-hour journey or something like that.
Yeah.
So I've got to be committed to go, and I think if I was committed to go, it'd be go in the morning, spend the whole day, hope for a clear sky, do some night shooting, and then go back either in the night or the next day. So for things like the Mac Loop and stuff like that, is like it's at least a full day, if not two, for me to really appreciate. But yeah, the plan is at some point to go down there, and obviously not get a typhoon going around the Mac Loop, because that doesn't happen anymore.
Another sore subject, Robin. I like having you on here.
It's fun. It's fun to chat about it. I don't get to talk about it because my parents go. It's like, so, I want someone to talk to.
Let's rub it in then. Go on, tell me how many typhoons you've seen through the Lake District, seeing as I still haven't seen a typhoon low level yet.
Anything through the Lake District.
I'm probably going to say about 12.
Unbelievable.
About 12, and more recently we've had the Foxes come through, Squadron 12.
Oh,
yeah. Nice.
With a twin stick came through as well. That was nice. In the snow as well. That was.
Oh,
he's just rubbing more salt in there.
Yeah, just. Right, I think is it about time we wrap this up, any
so yeah, they were quite cool to see.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably, I'd say about 12. I think one day I was sat on the side of Thermia for about 6 hours or so. It was blisteringly sunny, so there was me, proper English, shorts on, rolled up to as high up the thigh as possible, shirt off. Guy sat next to me with his reflective umbrella on, and there's me going, oh yeah, I'll just wait for jets to come through, getting absolutely burnt. He goes, do you want some sun cream? Like, I don't really burn, I just go red. It doesn't hurt when I get sunburnt, so I was like, just sat there, slowly getting redder and redder.
Yeah.
And then I think because I was so hot and probably dehydrated, I sort of started falling asleep. And then I'd wake up every now and again and be like, oh, nothing's happened yet, nothing's happened. And then I think we must have been sat there until about 3 o'clock. So by in mind, at this point, we've probably been there for 7 hours, 6 hours or something like that, and had nothing other than pure sunshine, which was nice to sit in.
Yeah.
And then we had 2 typhoons came through. And behind them, there was just like thunderclouds. So I was like, right, I'm sacking it off for that.
Yeah.
Packed up, got down to the car, drove another probably 10 miles down the road, and got caught up in the most torrential thunderstorm I've ever seen. So I was like, probably good job I called it when I did. Last thing I would have wanted to do is be sat halfway up a hill in a thunderstorm without a raincoat.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. definitely.
Ben, have you got any questions for Robin?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you said you've been to the lakes and all that, and you plan a trip to the Loop. Would you plan a trip, stateside or somewhere in Europe, somewhere overseas?
I'd love to go back stateside.
Ooh.
I've been there. I went there a couple of years ago for 3 months at a time. Didn't do anything aviation wise because it wasn't what I was kind of into.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked planes, but I wouldn't have known where to have gone, what to have seen, or what it was doing. But I went and did like a proper tourist holiday. Had a yellow Camaro. Went around and did a full-on American tour. So I did like LA, Vegas, Grand Canyon, all these sort of places that you go to that are really nice for night skies as well. And then, but yeah, I'd love to go back there and probably go to the Top Gun Air Base, and go and see there. And there's a nice one just outside Vegas as well, I think.
Nellis.
That's the one, Nellis. Yeah, that's the Top Gun one, isn't it?
Top Gun was
Fallon.
Yes, that was it. Fallon. Yeah.
Fallon,
So, but Nellis, yeah. I mean, Nellis has got some. They've just had Red Flag, haven't they? And
some of the shots that have been coming out of that have been outrageous.
Yeah. Our American counterparts over the pond have been rubbing our faces in it a little bit over the last
just a bit.
the last few weeks. So.
Very much so.
So I'd like to go back stateside and do some stuff with planes. In answer to that question, just finding extra cash now. I don't have any left.
Join that club.
Slowly.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have all the kit, and then I won't have the budget to do anything else now.
That sounds about right.
You'll see me just sort of hanging out my bedroom window because I can't afford fuel. Just going, please, something come over, please.
Yeah,
worth it.
Yeah. I get 30 frames of pure gold, and then that's it, done.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, we've asked ours. Robin, have you got any questions for us?
Yeah, when you guys come up to the lakes.
Well,
as soon as we can, mate. As soon as we can.
Then I'll plan a trip accordingly away from you guys so that I get.
Yeah, especially if I'm going. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You go and stand at Ullswater, and we'll get all of them at Dunmel.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
Well, I think me and Ant are possibly looking at all restrictions and going ahead. I think we're looking at doing just under a week in Germany and the Netherlands, coming up to the end of May into June. But this is obviously the Jennifer Lopez, but. If things go south, that is a very big but. If things do go south, then I think we are looking at doing 2 days up at the lakes and then across and doing 2 days at the Loop. So
nice.
Ears to the ground for that one. But yeah, if things do go south for the Germany trip, then I think we will be knocking on your door and
definitely
coming over and having a look.
I mean,
for me personally,
if anything to tempt the bait out, we've been getting some 35s wanting to come.
Don't say that.
Let's cut it there now, shall we?
I love the F-35.
I've seen my first one. Only 2 came through, but they went the wrong side of the valley that I was in.
Yeah.
So I got them from a nice distance. But we've had a couple come through this year, like I say. And then about last summertime, we had Doom Flight came through a few times. I think they came through like 3 pairs or something like that. So we've not really had many of them. But they've been through. They're wanting to come through again. I think it's just.
And that's good, isn't it? I mean, a lot of people want to see F-35s low level, especially in the UK. I mean, you see all these pictures from low level over in the States and stuff. And I think the one good thing that we need to sort of cling on to is that Lakenheath's getting its F-35A squadron standing up at the end of the year. So if they carry on with their low level training the way they do with the F-15E and C, then there's no reason why we shouldn't get a hell of a lot more F-35 action in both all the low-fly areas around the country. Because it's not just the Loop and the lakes, obviously. So that would be awesome.
Scotland as well, the Americans at the moment.
Yeah.
Watching a whole bunch of 15s go up to Scotland the other day.
Yeah.
Just come to the lakes. Just come over here.
Just drop in.
That's it. Yeah.
For my answer to your question is, I have no idea, mate. I don't know what I'm doing from one day to the next. I'm not even sure what I'm doing tomorrow. So.
To be honest, I'm normally like that. It's a case of, I think if you guys hadn't sort of sent me a message like the other day, I'd completely forgotten about it.
Yeah.
I've got a diary. It's called a phone. I don't use it.
Yeah.
I just wing most things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get that. It's one of those things where
I'd love to, though. I would love to, because like I say, I don't really get the opportunities, and now that air shows we won't get into it again, but obviously now that the air shows are slowly getting canned this year, I need to find something to do. So it would be nice, to be fair.
Watching something go low level is so much more enjoyable than watching something above your head.
Yeah, I can only imagine, to be fair. I mean, from what I've seen pictures of, from yourself, from Ant, from Ben, from all the other guys on Instagram, it looks like quite an experience.
It's nice to be above them for once.
Yeah, see, for me, I can't fathom that. The only times I've seen them flying is air shows. So it's very difficult for me to envisage being like eye level or above a fast jet. Yeah, it sounds fantastic. So
to be eye level with a fast jet looking straight through the cockpit is quite fun.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah,
that's class. It. Definitely.
Well then, chaps, that just about gets us back to base after another flight. Robin, we hope you enjoyed it and there wasn't too much turbulence.
That was great.
Great stuff.
Turbulence is always good fun anyway.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Well, I be bounced around my seat.
Yeah. We will once again go around the group so you can find us on our social media pages. Robin, let's start with you, seeing as you are our honorary first guest. Doesn't have to be just your aviation. Tell us about your pages, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of that. So let us know what you're on.
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook and Instagram. My Facebook is Robin Nowak Photography, and I pretty much put everything up there that I do photography related, whether it's aviation or landscape or stars. And then on Instagram, as my two separate ones, I've got LFA.17, so that's the area that the Lake District is.
Yeah.
That's my aviation photography one, so everything Lake District related, and a couple of bases that I've been to, like I say, Leavings on there. Yeah. And then my night photography is on Robin Nowak Photography. Again, so that's everything that's night is photography, but with recent, I've not been active on that because it's a bit further for me to go and do stuff like that, but it's still pretty active occasionally.
Yeah, cool. All right, nice
That's
one.
all I'm on at the moment.
Nice. Ben, once again, let us know where you are, mate.
Yeah, so both my Instagram and my Facebook are the same name, so it's Ben_aviation_photography.
Nice one. And Ant, you once again, mate?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Anthony_Fogarty_aviation. I've got a YouTube channel which I'm hoping to do some more on this year, which is just my name, Anthony Fogarty. And same again for Facebook, where I do share some of my shots on Facebook as well.
Yeah, great stuff. My one, Afterburner Aviation, and that is Facebook and Instagram. Obviously, we can't do this and talk about social medias without mentioning the AV Geeks Assemble, because that's what we're all here for. So like I say, for the main page with everything on there, and obviously this is what the podcast is made up with. So our Facebook and Instagrams, AV Geeks Assemble. So yeah, feel free to give us a like, a follow, let us know, talk to us, give us some feedback, let us know what you think. We are having a great time doing it. We really, really are enjoying it. So stick around and see what we've got coming up, because the ideas are coming every single day. Give us a follow, talk to us, and you'll see where we're going with it. So in episode 4, we will have another special guest. It is actually, and we can say this now, a former Lakenheath F-15E pilot who is known for having a famous duck mascot in the cockpit. Need we say any more?
I wonder who that is.
If you can figure out who we mean and would like to get your question answered by him, the pilot, not the duck, that might be difficult.
Unless you speak duck.
Yeah. Please send us a DM on Instagram, which is once again at avgeeks_assemble. Or we will start a topic on our Facebook group, which again, AV Geeks Assemble, for you to post your questions there. Get involved because the opportunity that is presenting itself here is fantastic. Get involved. We'd love to hear your questions, and we look forward to recording that without a doubt. So thanks again to this week's guest. We look forward to seeing you in the lakes this year and maybe at some air shows. So Robin and Ben, thank you very much, chaps. It's been another successful one.
Thank you for having us.
An absolute pleasure.
Thanks, Robin.
Keep shooting, mate. We really, really like your work, and we look forward to seeing what you get in the future.
Looking forward to hearing next month's podcast, to be honest.
Yes, thank you.
Like a better one to follow than me.
I don't know. You've made some nice statements for us.
I'm glad I opened it rather than followed him.
Yeah.
We've done you a favour.
That's it. But yeah, so everyone else, stay safe out there, and we will see you at the fence.